Hello everyone.
Everyone, I'm Shubin, 我是
Hi Texan. I recently came across a video circulating on social media about why so many powerful elderly Chinese officials died of COVID recently. As you know, China suddenly lifted their 3-year lockdown in early December last year, and as a result, there was a large-scale massive COVID infection, and many Chinese officials died.
I heard of the massive COVID infection. Quite scary. And then our country opened the floodgate on January 8th for Chinese people to anytime come here as they like. 笑啊.
Yes, the open floodgate thing. Many countries are still observing, so a bit too early to jump to conclusion. But I want to tell you about this video I saw, about why so many old powerful Chinese officials died. When I connected the dots with other information in the past, this is indeed quite scary.
So tell me, Lei, what is it?
The story is like this. Gao Zhanxiang, a very high-level Chinese government official, passed away on December 9th last year. Why is he high-level? He is the vice minister of the Ministry of Culture of China.
Their Ministry of Culture, is it like our MCCY, the Ministry of Culture, Community and Youth?
I guess so, because we don't really have an exact mirror Ministry of Culture here.
So the Vice Minister, is it a bit like our MCCY, Minister of State?
Actually, I don't know. Could be.
So the Gao Zhanxiang is like our Alvin Tan or Lo Yinling, right?
Something like that.
Oh, I see. But China is very, very big. So the Gao Zhanxiang is very, very more powerful than ours, right?
In terms of the reach of the ministry to the big Chinese population, of course lah.
Yeah lah. Ours is like kacang putih only. So what about this Gao Zhanxiang?
Well, since he died during the peak of the COVID period in Beijing, I suppose he died of COVID. What is interesting here is not his death, but a eulogy his friend has written on social media.
Eulogy? What is it?
A eulogy is a statement that a dead person's friend wrote about him, usually to talk about how good this person was when he was alive. In Gao Zhanxiang's eulogy, his friend said that Gao has battled hard for his illness, and over the years, his internal organs have changed multiple times. His friend said that Gao Zhanxiang himself used to joke that a lot of his body parts are no longer his own.
What? What organs? What body parts? Can you say again?
Okay. His friend, Zhu Yongxin, who is also a high-level government official, says Gao Zhanxiang had many organs transplanted into his body many times already in the past, and many times over.
Oh, so like his kidneys are someone else's kidneys? His eyeballs are someone else's eyeballs? Like that, is it?
Well, yes, something like that. I just checked. His friend Zhu Yongxin is the Deputy Secretary General of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference.
Yeah. I don't understand what consultative conference. We don't have such equivalent government body here, but I can imagine his friend is a bit short.
When you say transplant eyeballs, usually it is you mean transplant eye cornea, not the entire eyeball. But anyways, yes, his friend says Gao Zhanxiang had multiple organ transplants done to his body. I can even imagine something like kidney transplanted multiple times. Each time, kidneys failed.
Okay, organ transplant is very normal one. What's so interesting here,
Human organ transplantation is normal when you have a system of voluntary donors and a system for people to queue up for organ transplant, and all must follow internationally accepted standards. In China, the organ donors are not always voluntary. We know that they take organs from executed prisoners, but this is not enough to meet the demand. You see, this medical article says that There are about 1 to 1.5 million people in China needing organ transplants every year, and only 10,000 people can get a new organ successfully.
Not enough then how? Where to get more human organs?
Well, organ trafficking. That means snatching people off the street and taking out their organs to meet the organ supply. This is illegal, not to mention ethically wrong.
How you know there's organ trafficking in China?
Actually, human trafficking for the purpose of forced organ harvesting is a worldwide problem. There are black markets for such organs everywhere, especially in developing countries. So having forced organ harvesting in China is not new and unique.
What? Harvesting? Like harvesting fruits from trees?
Yes, in China, the captured and abducted people, their bodies become a source of organs. When some needs organ transplants, these bodies are cut open, their organs taken out as fresh as possible.
Oh my god, that's horrible. Really or not?
Well, I did not make this up. For many years, these websites have been telling the world about forced organ harvesting.
How come we don't hear much of this in Singapore?
Actually, I do not know. The local media here do not seem to report on this. These websites say that organ trafficking is a form of medical genocide, so it is quite a serious and a solemn matter.
What is genocide?
Genocide means mass killings of a specific group of people. In World War II, Hitler's extermination of 6 million Jews is a form of ethnic genocide.
I see. So China is killing what group of people for organs?
Have you heard of Falun Gong?
Yes, but quite negatively. Many people say it is a cult, and these people are like crazy.
Well, this group was targeted by China because the number of people practicing Falun Gong is huge. China themselves estimated about 70 million people doing Falun Gong in 1999.
Oh, and then?
And then China suppressed them and persecuted them. And when China does this, they will follow up with massive propaganda and campaigns to demonize Falun Gong. That's why you hear that they are a cult.
I still don't understand. China persecutes them because the number of people practicing it is huge? Why?
Okay, long story short, China is a one-party system. The China president is the only powerful person in the country. When they see such a huge group of people doing a practice that is independent of them, they feel threatened, and so they forbid and suppress them.
I see.
We can talk more about this next time, but the point here is that because the number of people doing Falun Gong is huge, and China is persecuting them, this massive number of people are arrested and they become forced organ donors against their will.
Huh? These people become organ donors? Really? Did these people commit any crime?
Falun Gong is a spiritual faith. The Falun Gong people did not commit any crime because they are outlawed in China. The arrested Falun Gong people became prisoners of conscience.
Prisoners of conscience? Quite chimley.
Okay, we derailed a bit. Let's get back on track. Just now we're saying Gao Zhanxiang died and many Chinese officials also died during COVID. What is the link here?
You say that Gao Zhanxiang guy had lots of multiple organ transplants and then many Chinese officials died. So the other Chinese officials also had organ transplants?
Bravo! I see you're beginning to connect the dots as well. Yes, if a high-level official like Gao Zhanxiang is able to receive multiple organ transplants, we can imagine many other Chinese officials must also be doing the same. These elderly party officials receive special medical care. You know the famous 301 hospital in Beijing is dedicated to their care.
Yes, in Chinese culture, many people want to live long. I mean, long life lah. Chinese people want to have long life. That's why they always 万岁 to the emperor.
When people get old, their body parts start to degenerate. I suppose they do organ transplants to rejuvenate themselves, like Jiang Zemin, dying at 96 years old. I'm quite sure he also had multiple organ transplants to extend his lifespan. Otherwise, he can't live that long.
But what is the relationship between organ transplant and COVID? You mean multiple organ transplants increase the likelihood to get COVID?
Yes, but let me explain from the beginning. When people receive an organ from another person, the receiving body may reject the organ, which is considered a foreign thing. So, the receiving body's immune system attacks the new foreign organ, thinking that it is an enemy. When attack happens, the new organ cannot function properly, and the organ transplant is considered a failure.
I see. Like Russia invades Ukraine and the Ukraine soldiers kill the Russian soldiers?
A bit like that. In order to reduce organ rejection, the receiver body usually needs to suppress its own immune system so that the immune system will not attack the foreign organ. They take immunosuppressant drugs. Immunosuppressant drugs make the immune system weaker, as you can see from the CDC website. These people are more likely to get sick from COVID because their immune system is weaker. So those elderly Chinese officials who had multiple organ transplants had taken immunosuppressant drugs, their body is weaker.
I see. So they more easily get COVID and die lah, right?
Yes, I think this is what happened. These elderly Chinese officials who had special privileges are able to easily receive organ transplants to rejuvenate their bodies, but end up making their body weak and easily infected by COVID.
Actually, I see that this is karma and retribution. They get organs from live people who are forced to have their organs taken out. It's like killing a live person. This is a bad deed. Then, the Chinese officials who got these organs incur karma. Then, they die from COVID. It is retribution from heaven.
Yes, harvesting people's organs is an evil deed. The moral of the story here is that people who do bad deeds get what they deserve.
Old people always say that heaven is watching everything we do. So don't do bad things lah.